Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains, where the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oh, Oklahoma, every night, my honey lemon, I sit alone and talk and watch the hawk making lazy circles in the sky. We belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. And then we say, yo, yippee-yi-yi. We're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, O-K-L-A-H-O-M-A, Oklahoma, yeah.
All right, Oklahoma. What a way to start the show.
Good.
Well,
Indeed, Steve.
welcome
Thank
home.
you.
Appreciate you coming back to Enid, Oklahoma, and thank you for joining us on City Connections. I'm Steve Keim. I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Public Relations and Marketing for the City of Enid and also the Enid Television Network. Well, Kyle, welcome back to Enid. I love that song. Thank you for high energy kicking this song off for us. You know, people are really around the globe. They have the opportunity to see this interview now due to technology, YouTube, and things of this nature. And a lot of people know everything about Kyle plus some. But for those that may be watching this from the East or West Coast or from Europe or whatever, what is your connection to Enid, Oklahoma?
Enid, Oklahoma. It's where I was born and raised, Steve. Born in October 26, 1978 at St. Mary's Hospital, Enid, Oklahoma.
Just a couple blocks away.
And but going further back, my great-great-grandfather came to Oklahoma and ran in the land run of the Cherokee Strip in 1893 and settled on a piece of land just south of Waukomis, which, for those listening in Europe or wherever you are, Waukomis is just south of Enid. So
it's just over that way a little bit.
it's just right in this area. It's all the same county, and just really, my mother was raised on that farm. My father was raised in Waukomis, and then they got married, moved to Enid, and this is where they made their home, their family, and we were born, and just really this became that foundation for me.
Well, welcome back again. We're glad that you came home, and the reason I keep saying that he's coming home is he's more or less based out of Oklahoma City now, a little bit bigger city than Enid, Oklahoma. So, Kyle, I noticed that in your bio that you picked up a violin somewhere around 9 years old, and then there was an impressive fact that I read in the bio that about 8 years later, you were on the Grand Ole Opry stage. Now, from 9 years old, picking up the violin to performing with some big folks 8 years later. How did that happen?
Well, it's interesting you should ask, you know, because, and you point out 8 years, it's not long into a career for being at a venue that for some people would be, this is kind of the pinnacle of what I'm doing in this genre of music, playing fiddle, country music. And so it really was an astonishing moment for me as well. I mean, it was kind of shocking to just find myself backstage the Grand Ole Opry, being kind of courted around from one dressing room to the next, and meeting this star and jamming with Bill Monroe, and the next thing I know, being whisked out on stage to play with Bill Monroe, and getting to see so many others that were there. Grandpa Jones introduced us one night, and little Jimmy Dickens brought me on stage the next night and gave 2 performances. And all that happened with the Enid connection too. In Enid, Oklahoma, every year there's the Grand National Quail Hunt. Celebrities come to Oklahoma to hunt quail. You know all about it. And Roy Clark was a big hunter. He would come almost every year. And I was asked to perform for the banquet. I was just kind of in the house band. We were doing entertainment during dinner, but one of our jobs was to back up the celebrity musicians. So Roy Clark got up, Hank Thompson was there, Curly Lewis, who had been a fiddle player for Bob Wills. All these guys were there, but when Roy Clark got up, he pulled me forward out of the band and said, "I want to feature this young man on the fiddle." and he asked me to play Faded Love. And after I'd finished, everybody was just hooping and hollering and cheering and stood to their feet. I'm sure they'd had way too much to drink. And
so it wasn't all the song. It wasn't all the performance, huh?
and I tell you what, the MC for the banquet that year just so happened to be the general manager of the Grand Ole Opry, Mr. Bob Whitaker. Jumped up on stage in the moment and got caught up in it too, and just right there on the spot in front of 500 people invited me to be a feature performer on the Grand Ole Opry.
But what a way to hold somebody accountable for an invitation.
I know.
To have 500 witnesses. Well,
yeah, so it was great.
That's
The funny part to that story that I always love to share is earlier that day I had been in Oklahoma City auditioning for the All-State Orchestra. And I didn't make it into the orchestra, but I got a feature performance on the Grand Ole Opry. So
that's great.
So I think it's important to not get discouraged about the little defeats in life.
Sure.
So you never know what's around the corner.
That's a great story, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
One of the things that is going on today and really the next few weeks is Kyle's new CD, Broken Beyond Repair, is being released, and you have 11 new songs on that. And going to put you on the spot. We want to hear a lot from you in our segment that we have on City Connections.
Yeah.
But if you would, Kyle, I'm going to get out of the set here, but you have 11 options right here. But if you would, why don't you select one of these songs from your new CD? Again, it's called Broken Beyond Repair. And why don't you play that for us? Just whichever one that you want to do for us. And I'll be right back. Thank you for joining us on City Connections. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Dillingham.
This is a song I wrote for the album, and it's line by line based on actually quite literally different sayings and common phrases that are used in Alcoholics Anonymous program. When I was taking a look at Broken Beyond Repair and Broken Violins, I wanted to look at brokenness of all kinds, whether it be homelessness, disease, hunger, loss. There's so many things. So this is one that I hope that you'll enjoy and be inspired. It's called But For the Grace of God. This too shall pass. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. One day at a time. It works if you work it. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. This is a journey, not a destination. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Just for today, let it begin with me. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Count your blessings again and again. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Act as if you gotta keep an open mind. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Share your happiness and share your pain. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Live in the now, to thine own self be true. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Easy does it, you're not alone. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Come live, it works if you work it. Live and let live, but for the grace Say that you'll try, say that you'll try. First things first, keep it simple, stupid. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. No pain, no gain, stick with the winners. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Decisions aren't forever, more will be revealed. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Let go of old ideas, you will be amazed. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. This is a journey, not a destination. Live and let live, but for the grace of God. Just for today, let it begin with me. Live and let live, but for the grace of God.
Nicely done, nicely done.
Thank
Again,
you.
that's just one of the selections, one of the 11 selections off the new CD entitled Broken Beyond Repair. Now, besides musician and all the other titles and accolades, you've been around the globe, you've performed a variety of orchestras and so forth, Kyle. I noticed that Governor Brad Henry, he called you or gave you or bestowed the title of Musical Ambassador for the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Now, as a homegrown Oklahoma person, Oklahoma kid, that's an impressive title. I like that, so congratulations. But what is the Musical Ambassador? Does that mean you're commissioned to go around the globe representing Oklahoma and bringing a violin along with you?
Well, I'll tell you, it may be one of these things that versus title and then commission, it became something that was bestowed because of what I had been doing and continue to do for our state. It was really a recognition. It's been a passion of mine really since I was, the very first time I left the state with my music, it was summer after my junior year in high school. I traveled to Indonesia. I had become friends with an Indonesian student at Enid High School, whose parents became just forever grateful for the reception that she had received by my family,
Sure.
Coming to family holidays and just being included in our life and in in what was going on here in Oklahoma. And so I went on a tour of Bali, Indonesia. Georgia Davis went with me. We were the big Oklahoma duo, and really at that moment I began realizing that the importance of music and what a tool it can be for developing relationships and in bridging gaps between culture and language. And I've just been a passion of mine to continue to use musical diplomacy to see how that can benefit our state. I've had the opportunity to travel and perform in about 36 countries now. And every time, the important thing is that being an Oklahoma musician and an Oklahoma resident, I'm able to say, it's always an Oklahoma violinist, Kyle Dillingham. And that's always been a very important part of my career choices, to stay here. After my performance on the Grand Ole Opry, I had a lot of opportunities in Nashville, for example. I've had New York City beckoning and calling me for years. But I've decided to rather stay and invest my time, talents, and energy into the development and furthering of the entertainment industry of our state. And by doing so, everywhere I've gone, it's been as a representative, so why not a musical ambassador, sharing goodwill and connecting people to the state. A lot of it, I'd say, has been through an educational domain. I also have official part-time position, staff position for the University of Central Oklahoma as their musical ambassador in residence. So they sort of borrow me when it makes sense to develop overseas partnerships that makes way for students to go study in other countries, or to allow students from other countries to come study in Oklahoma. So these are important for social reasons, but also economic. As you may know, the education industry is a big industry as well. But just the way those students can really affect and positively the culture of our state. A melting pot, anyways, historically. So the title was one that just came appropriately. In 2009, I was awarded with the Governor's Arts Award, and they said, without digging extensively into the ancient archives of that award, they thought pretty convincingly that I was the youngest recipient ever of that award. So it's just been an exciting time and an exciting life and
Well, selfishly,
career.
we are glad that you decided to stay close to Oklahoma. I know we have other musicians, the Toby Keiths of the world and the Garth Brooks, and the list goes on. That you're right, you could be anywhere. And but you chose to stay here in Oklahoma.
And even more so now, like you say, here we are. We're in a little studio in Enid, Oklahoma. But this can be This is broadcast worldwide. People can hear this and see this. The same with, I think, any career. It's becoming more and more where the location is becoming less important. It's because mobility is so easy.
Technology really helps us out.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on City Connections today. As you can tell, my special guest, Kyle Dillingham. We'll hear more from Kyle in just a moment. I notice you play a variety of music. You opened up with Oklahoma, and I'm not sure what that style would be, but I know musical. There we go. And you can tell how musical inclined, or whatever the word is, that I am. But I noticed that even on your new Broken Beyond Repair CD and some of the other works that you've done, there's a spiritual theme. You've got these great old hymns, Amazing Grace, How Great Thou Art, and the list goes on. Can you tell us why there is this? I sense there's this connection to those type of old hymns and the passion for you to play. Can you tell us what that relationship is?
Well, I think that that's certainly a part of my roots. If you just talk about the music alone, I think those sounds connect us all to something.
Sure.
Whether it's being brought up in the church, which I was, and some of those I remember from childhood, and some of those I learned in adolescence. But there's a strong connection, anyways, to the message of God's grace and love, and unconditional love for us, and really, personally, as my music as a career. I'm in a lot of different domains with my music and playing a lot of styles, but the one thing that keeps me focused and connected is really my relationship with God. And every time I take an instrument, for me, it's a sacred thing. It's a really special moment. I think music is one of these mysteries here on earth. It is happening in the physical, but there is something very spiritual about it. And I believe it's a conduit in which God can work in the lives of people through His Holy Spirit, if we just allow. And it's always my prayer when I take my instrument is that God just use this for something beyond me. It's great. You talk about the applause, and it's great, the accolades, the awards.
Sure.
But what's the most awesome and rewarding part of my career is when somebody comes up to me after performance and says, my grandfather was a fiddle player, and there was one particular song that you played in your concert that he would always play for me as a child. And today you really brought that back to me.
Right.
And those kind of things are just special. I was in Taiwan, and after a concert, there was an elderly woman that came up to me, didn't speak any English, but she just had tears coming down out of her eyes, and she just wanted to hug me, and she was pointing to her eyes and said, when she sees me, she's seeing God.
Interesting.
And that's the biggest, that's the best compliment. If I just disappear and people are getting a special touch and a special moment with their maker, then then just get me out of the way. Get me out of the way. So Broken Beyond Repair, this new album is no exception. In fact, it may be exemplified in this album, the spiritual connection, because these instruments, should note that all the instruments that I use on the album are considered to be broken beyond repair. It's not that they can't be fixed, but it's cost prohibitive because the cost to repair would be greater than just replacing them. So they'd all been tossed out and considered lost.
We'd like to hear more from Broken Beyond Repair in just a moment. It may be difficult for everyone to see here on City Connections the set, but I think you see the little price tag on this violin. Reminds me of the Minnie Pearl days. I think Minnie Pearl had her hat and also the price tag attached to it. Yeah. But to the left of Kyle, there's a box, and it's full of broken violins, and we'll learn more about that. But I just kind of wanted to share with you on the set that he's got a violin that kind of rattles, because there's some pieces that are not completely attached, but anyway, you have a box full of that. You have a band, it's called Horseshoe Road. Mm-hmm. Quickly tell us about your band, and then we want to hear more from Broken Beyond Repair.
Yeah, my band Horseshoe Road, actually this year, right about now, this is exactly 10 years. 10th anniversary.
Wow.
It was the spring of 2005 the band came together, really just out of a love and the joy of playing music. And we wanted to create a setting for ourselves just to make music that we love that was a combination of some of our favorite covers and as well as originals from the different band members, and just support each other in that, and wrap it all together in an acoustic setting with just a life and an energy that we felt is sometimes lacking and missing in live performance, and just really be able to communicate that with our audiences. And it's carried through. I think that it's been contagious, and we've recorded a couple albums over the year, but I'll tell you, we're just about to head to the studio this summer to bear down on album number 3. Peter Marcus, Wacomas native. Peter is now playing guitar in my band since about 2009. Some opportunities opened up where I had a guitar player that moved out of state, and Peter's career as a teacher was starting to settle enough where he had more flexibility. So we've been making music like never before, and actually had an opportunity to do an American Music Abroad tour a couple of years ago for the U.S. State Department. We were in Korea, Taiwan, Burma, and Pacific Rim, Russia. So it was a Far East tour. And then this last summer, we actually spent 4th of July in Liberia. Now, Liberia has been in the news, West Africa with Ebola, sure. And it was in the news when we were there, but it wasn't headline news. Shortly after we returned home, it became the big headline news. But we got to perform for the president of Liberia, and all throughout the rural parts of the country, which was phenomenal. But just really it's been a great season for Horseshoe Road, and looking forward to much more to come.
Well, it's exciting. I just appreciate you sharing these stories with us.
Yeah.
Kyle Dillingham is our musical and special guest here on City Connections. Thank you for staying with us. Kyle, I'm going to impose upon you once again. There's 11 new selections on Broken Beyond Repair. And as you hear Kyle rattle in that box and rattle a violin, I'm going to step out of the set, and for a couple minutes here, if you would, Kyle, you can play for us or share with us about it, and I'll be back in just a moment.
So, it's easy to look at something like this and say, all hope is lost. But as Steve mentioned, there's a little something rattling around in here. There's a 1/4-inch dowel that runs vertically in the violin. It's called a sound post, and it's held in place by the pressure of the strings against the bridge, against the top of the violin. And it basically takes those vibrations into the body, and when that post, where it is adjusted, it allows the dissemination of those sounds evenly across the top, giving you that warm, beautiful, even tone. But now, as you can see, quite a bit is missing, and that post is down. But in French, for example, my second language, we call this l'âme du violon. That's the soul of the violin. So my thought is, if there's still a soul, then there's still hope. So I hope that'll speak to you, and you'll enjoy a classic, How Great Thou Art. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the world thy hand has made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art.
Nicely done. Very good.
Thank you.
The new CD is entitled Broken Beyond Repair.
Yeah.
Where does the time go, Kyle? We got to go. I'm sorry.
I can't believe it.
we could do this.
It goes into good times and good memories.
Yes. Well, we thank you for joining us on City Connections. And Kyle, thank you for joining us on City Connections.
Thank you, Steve.
Since you know where Enid is, you're very familiar with Enid, you've got that open invitation to come back, touch base with us.
Absolutely.
Let us know what foreign country you went to, and just kind of give us an update, because I know people that are watching this show, they're going to say, okay, it's been a few months now. I wonder what Kyle and the Horseshoe Road Band is up to. So stay in touch with me. Let me know what's going on, and we'll love to have you back.
I'll let you know when that new album comes out.
Very good. Very good.
Thank
you
very
for
much.
bringing your broken instruments and your box full of things, and really that message of, you might think it's broken beyond repair, but there's options.
Yeah.
There's a repair person close by, I guess you'd say that. So,
yes.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, again, it's entitled Broken Beyond Repair. Kyle Dillingham from Enid, Oklahoma. So thank you for joining us on City Connections. I'm Steve Keim. I look forward to bringing another program to you in the near future. Until then, make it a great day.